One last thing I wanted to touch on. You said that you are playing a special Dean guitar, the Sky guitar. Could you go a little into the build and the make of the guitar?
You see, the Sky guitar was something I designed in the early 80s after I left, during my Electric Sun days. I was naturally, by design, a Stratocaster player, because also I was such a big Jimi Hendrix fan, you know. I wanted to play the same guitar and get the same kind of sounds, and the Strat is a unique instrument. So I figured, but there were a few things that I wasn't so happy with, and one thing was that the range of the Strat wasn't quite enough for me. Meaning the range, there weren't enough notes on the fretboard. I always wanted to play a little bit higher than I actually could, and that was the initial idea. Was I found this guitar builder and I asked him to put a couple of extra frets onto my White Scorpions Strat, and he did, and he did such a good job. So I think that was the first Strat that was actually extended from 21 to 23 frets. He did such a good job, and then he said, look, I can build you any guitar you like. And that got me thinking. That was the moment when suddenly I made the transition. I thought, what a concept. Maybe I should design my own guitar, because before that I had never thought about that, you know. And so I sat down in the dark room, I remember, closed my eyes, and I thought about what that guitar should be able to do and what it should look like. And after some time I got this clear image in my mind, and it changed a little bit. At first it looked like this, and then gradually it looked like a Sky guitar. So I took out my pen and I made a drawing, and that drawing I gave to the guitar builder, and he built it. So he built the first Sky guitar in 1983, that was. The idea, I think, was in 82, in the winter of 82, and then he built it in the spring of 83. That was the first one. Then it took us some time to find the right kind of pickups, etc., to make really sure it worked. And then from 84, 85 on, I used that guitar constantly. Then he started building another one, and then I had the idea to add a 7th string, which I thought had never been done before. Later on I found out that a guy in Russia many years ago had already had a 7th string guitar. I don't think that was an electric guitar. So then he built me the first 7th string, Mighty Wing, which I played for many years. It was my favorite guitar on Transcendental Sky Guitar and the Sky of Avalon. And then he built another one. In all, he built 5 prototypes. And then I didn't have new Sky guitars for many, many years. They were copied left, right, and center. Particularly in Japan, there was a company building them, and I didn't know about it at first. But I didn't like the idea of them doing that, because they were not good copies to start with. They were barely playable, and to me, the Sky guitar was very personal. It was like my baby, and there was a certain philosophy attached to it. I didn't want it necessarily on the market in some maybe heavy metal band or so. But later on, more and more people were building copies, and whenever I came across a copy, it was inevitably badly built. It wasn't quite right, and it didn't sound very good. Then eventually I met Elliot Rubinson at a NAMM show or a Frankfurt trade show, I don't remember where it was, and he kept talking to me and kept pushing the idea of making that guitar available. And I had a lot of question marks in my mind. I wasn't sure whether I wanted that. At the same time, I saw the reality of being able to do further prototypes and to really, with the help of a large company, go into the research and development and make the guitars even better. and have more Sky guitars. So that was appealing to me. And also, there came a point when I really felt maybe I should share it with the public, you know. And yeah, then after I made that decision, we started working on it. It took some time because it was difficult to build. And we made some prototypes. And again, it was a process of refinement. And in the end, I found a favorite guitar builder who basically hand built it 14. So it's a special setup, you know, it's not a factory made guitar at all. And it's basically each one is slightly different, and they're very, very expensive because of that, you know. It was a limited edition of 50 units, and most of them are gone now, in fact virtually all of them. We've now decided that we will make a series which will be considerably more affordable, and we will make them custom built through Dean in Florida, Dean Guitars. So it'll be an American custom shop model of the Sky guitar. I'm sure it'll play as well as what I've got. It'll also sound like that. But the limited edition has a few more frills because everything's like 24 karat gold plated and so forth. You know, it's a real mean machine. It's like a Formula One car almost, so to speak. But we are in the process of beginning to sit down to develop that concept of making it more, bringing it to the wider market, you know, and then we shall see, you know. Still not going to be a cheap guitar because they're very, very difficult to build, to get it right, and the electronics are very complex and quite expensive, but it'll be a lot more affordable than $12,000 or $14,000, you know.
Very much so, but it does sound absolutely worth it though, with all the specifications
yeah,
and everything that goes into it.
It's an incredible instrument, and this, by the way, is the man.
Yeah.
Elliot.
I'm Elliot.
These
Josh.
guys,
Hey,
they're
Josh.
doing
Who are you with?
I am with that drummer guy. It's a
Internet radio.
radio show and
That
YouTube
German
that I do.
guy?
That drummer guy.
Oh, I think that German guy. That would be perfect.
I am part German, so.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, I'm sure you have plenty
Yeah,
to
he
talk
asked about the Sky guitar. I gave him the story.
And the rundown on that, and been making it and playing it for over 30 years when no one's been able to replicate it. And I
That's
think,
very true.
And I think our replication of it was superior to the one you have been playing for all those years.
My Mighty Wing guitar was the starting point. You know, I still love that guitar, but because we're able to refine it a little. It's not that much different, but it's now really to the point where even I find it difficult to come up with new ideas how it could be possibly better. And that was one of the reasons why I finally decided to give in to Elliot, because he was really going for it and tried to convince me that this was the right thing to do, and I'm glad I did. You know? Yes.
Oh, that is so very cool to be able to hear the story behind that.
Yeah. And that's a true story, you know. I mean, there's even much more to it, you know. I could go on and on because there were a lot of hurdles to overcome to come to that point where you're really happy with it, you know.
Did you tell them about the power supply, for instance? You know, when I met Uli, he had a very crude kind of power supply that powers the guitar because there's an external power supply. And just recently we dumbed it down, got it down to a small box about this big.
Yeah.
And it's just much, in fact, the power supply fits in the case now, so when you're moving around, it's just much easier to store it than it used to be. And it's just more dependable,
True.
I think. We added the LEDs to it, which the original model didn't
Well,
have.
my original power supply was different. It was built by a famous designer in England who does a lot of pedals for Pete Townsend, Eric Clapton, and Jeff Beck. But mine was able to do 5 guitars at the same time, and it did 3 Sky guitars, you know. But so it was much bigger, and it was very beaten up by the end. you know. And then for the new Sky guitars, we first had larger power supplies, and they were a bit cumbersome. And now we've got a much smaller one, which is very, very, it's perfect and it's very dependable. Yeah, and there were other things, you know. The guitars now have lights, and beautiful lights, because I don't see that well on stage anymore. And a lot of these places, it's so dark. Like the other day, we were in one place. It was some, I don't know where it was, but it was a club, and the stage was badly lit, and my fretboard was like black most of the time, and I find difficult even to see when it's bright. So with these position lights, you know, it's very easy for me to.
I think the other thing is that everything we build, every single guitar is pre-sold. So the next 8 that we build are all pre-sold. Japan will buy as many as they can get their hands on. These are really sought-after guitars, and they're, as Uli said, these aren't inexpensive instruments. They're in excess of $10,000 here. People just keep anteing up to buy them.
The collector's items also, you know, one day this edition is going to be worth a lot of money. That's a fact, you know. Because they're totally unique, and each one, and that's the great thing, each one of them is slightly different, but they all have the same quality standard, you know. And so several times people came up to me and who bought Sky guitars, and they said, would you like to play it tonight? And I play it on the gig, and I can do it right away. They're pretty much set up like the way I set them up, and they're always sounding great. It's always I get jealous sometimes of some of the models that they have.
You want to keep everyone.
Yeah, I want to keep every single one, and I give names to them. You know, all of my guitars have names, so I look at the guitar, I play it, and it tells me a story. You know, and I come up with a name. You know, and
none of them get shipped until Uli personally plays them.
Yeah,
inspects them,
I'm checking them out, and usually they're fine. Sometimes there are a few minor issues that have to be refined, but that's normal with any guitar.
Where do they ship from? America?
From Germany.
They're built in Germany, hand built. Everything hand built. That's also one of the reasons why they're so expensive.
But then it goes to another quality check when it's shipped to America.
Yes, exactly.
So
and sometimes they say, "Oh, we need to refine this and so forth." You know.
So there's a lot of eyes on the guitar before it goes to the owner, and that's what's important.
Yeah,
so.
It's a lot of eyes, because when you're hand building a guitar, it's never quite as identical as the stuff that's factory made or CNC'd. You know. So sometimes we've had a couple of guitars where I said, "Oh, the guitar is great and fine," and then Elliot, being like such a pro with all the finer details, you know, he said, well, the paint job on that is not quite perfect. We have to redo that, you know.
It's like you're buying a car.
And I didn't even see the difference, actually. I didn't see the difference, because for me, as long as it looks great with my eyes, you know, which are not as good.
The playability.
And if it plays great, if it sounds great, if everything else is okay, then for me that's a done deal, you know. But of course, Elliot has all these guys in his company who constantly check these things, and they've got a much better eye for that, you know. So a couple of guitars had to be returned, and then we had to refinish or whatever.
Have to be right.
But when you're hand building, then it's never identical, and I wanted that, because for me a guitar needs to have character, and even the wood is different, and the quilt on top. Some of them are mahogany built, and some are alder, and each one is slightly different. And yeah,
do you have any questions
really
for me?
like
So I don't want to hang around and let you. I don't want to.
No, we're done. We're done.
Oh yeah, we were just near the end of the interview, but started talking about the Sky guitar, and I just got so very interested in it.
Yeah, you can also,
even with being a drummer, it's like I love hearing about all of how like rock and metal instruments are done.
Feel sorry for you.
That's why I'm called that drummer guy. No one learned my name.
Are you going to be here tonight?
I am, absolutely.
Okay, so you see, my company's D-Drum also.
That's right.
So
Very
Yeah, they
quality
make
drums.
really amazing drums.
Absolutely.
2 out of 3 playing them, but I couldn't quite convert him just yet because it was too short notice.
Yeah, but I have a specialist kit that I have to do certain things, but the drums sound much better than the drums I'm using. So,
We use Alder on drums, actually, which is no other drum company does. So,
That's
you know,
right.
you think about all the old tone woods that Fender used in the 50s on Strats, and it was Alder. And that's what we use on the drum. I'm surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody ever
So
used
your
that.
drum is an Alder drum.
That's what Vinny's playing on.
Oh.
Now,
I
the
didn't
orange
know
kit,
that.
the pinkish kit, that is maple, but the Vinny Appice's kit is Alder.
Yeah, but maple has a totally different sound.
Brighter. You know?
Yeah, maple is brighter
Yeah,
and
maple,
a little
yeah.
bit more shallow,
Yeah.
I would say.
So,
Oh, how
but
interesting.
You'll hear him tonight. So.
Oh, very cool. I'm a huge fan of D-Drum, and it's going to be very cool hearing that.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate
well,
it. Yeah,
I'll probably be playing D-drum at some point, I hope.
I hope so too. I'll work on you. Don't worry. I'll see. Nice to meet you guys.
Oh,
I'll see
nice
you
to meet
Are
inside.
you
too.
sound checking now or what?
I don't know. I'm gonna go in and check on it right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
we're
wrap
pretty
it up
much
since you're
done,
about to
huh?
be doing
So yeah.
that.
So you're getting all. It'll be colorful.
Absolutely. This has turned out magnificently. Thank you for taking all this time to do this interview. You've been a
You're very
huge
welcome.
inspiration to me with what you've done on the guitar, and it's going to be great to be able to see you for the first time tonight.
Cool. Bring your cotton wool earplugs.
Oh yes, I got those.
Good. Very good.
Just picked some up last night. So.
Yeah. Absolutely in time and necessary.
Yeah, anytime I'm behind the drums or anytime I go to a show.
Oh
I need
yeah,
earplugs.
drums for me is usually too loud. When
Yeah.
I was a kid, even from the first rehearsal on, once the guy hit the snare and the cymbals, that was it. I thought, no, I need to protect my ears, and that's why I'm one of the few people in the business who still have good hearing, because I've always had the earplugs. So
Like my dad. What?
They all
What?
They all have hearing deficiencies. Yeah.
Well, the importance of it didn't happen until recent times about how important it is to protect your ears.
Yeah, as I was saying, I was
Yeah.
hip to it when I was a kid. You know.
That's so important.
That was one of the things I really got right in my life.
You got to protect your ears.
Didn't get
before they go
everything
bad,
right.
yeah.
What?
You got to protect your ears before they go bad.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah.
I did. There's so many musicians have tinnitus, or do you say tinnitus in America?
Tinnitus, yeah.
Yeah, tinnitus.
Well, I got 11-itis.
Yeah, well, you're different.
I call it going
anyways,
deaf.
that's for sure.
But,
Okay.
Cool.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you one more time for doing this.
Very welcome.
Once again, that was Uli Jon Roth. Make sure to check out the Scorpions Revisited. And be on the lookout for Tokyo Tapes Revisited coming out in the future. This is that German guy, Josh Ronquist. Thank you.
You're very welcome.